Hello, and welcome to the Curious Artist Podcast. This is a show for artists and art lovers where I interview a diverse group of artists in order to get at the deep questions of the art world. The name of the podcast is The Curious Artist. What as an artist are you curious about right now?
What am I curious about right now? Wow, that's a good question. Well, I've been doing a lot of henna art lately, so it's, temporary art. It fades away. So curious about, I feel like I haven't been able to even explore anything else other than what I'm doing right here. So I feel like being curious is like looking at other stuff more. And right now, I haven't been doing that. It's been like a really busy summer doing shows and stuff. And it's kind of physically tiring. So, but I really didn't answer that question, did I?
What made you start doing henna?
Well, I used to own a tattoo shop back in 98. I think we opened 1999 around then. And a guy from Chicago came and asked if he could do henna at the shop. So I met this guy when we opened the tattoo shop, and he came and asked if he could do henna at the shop. And so he taught me everything about it. I was always really intrigued with it. I saw Madonna with it on her hands in one of her videos, and that's what kind of got me interested in it. And so I've been doing it for like 17 years. But right now is the time when, I'm really doing it so much now, and it's fun. So it's grown over this 17 years, of learning techniques, getting better and better. I actually mixed my own henna the other day because I also do henna on wood, and then I polyurethane it after it's dry for like sellable pieces kind of thing, as opposed to like the skin art. And so I mix my own batch, and it won't be good enough to use on people because it's old, but it'll be fine for the wood. So that was kind of an accomplishment. That was kind of a fun thing to be able to mix it again myself. Because I usually buy cones that are pre-made.
So henna is the substance, it's not the technique?
Right. It's called mendi, the design part, but henna is the actual plant. It's a plant, and the leaves are dried and ground up and made into powder and mixed with oil and lemon juice and other things to make the paste. And the paste is what stains your skin.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's an Indian tradition for weddings and things, for celebrations, but, people like to do it all the time. It's kind of a good way to get a temporary tattoo to even see if you want a real tattoo.
Yeah, I recently got a real tattoo.
I know you did. How is it doing? Is it healing good?
Healing well. I did not use any. They didn't have any lotion to give me then, or it was a weird story behind the tattoo.
Uh-huh.
It's actually an amazing story behind the tattoo, but I don't know if I want to get into it now or not.
Right. Yeah. Right. Whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I was at WDS and I was in the audience, and I was thinking of getting a tattoo that day, and I didn't. And Chris Gillibo, the guy who puts on the convention, asked if he said that he had gotten a tattoo that year, and they were going to give away 30 tattoos at the closing party. And oh wait, does anyone want one right now?
Oh!
And the lady in the front got one, and then I was in the first balcony, and he said, "Anyone else?" And I stood up, and the people around me started chanting, "Carly, Carly," and it was amazing.
And then you got your tattoo.
Yeah, I got a bike.
Yeah, it's really cool. I like it.
It's amazing because I bike all the time. It was like the universe gave me this tattoo.
Yes, so you got it for free.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I saw that on Facebook that you got it. That's cool. Yeah, tattoos. It is. Way cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
How'd you get into tattoo art?
My ex-boyfriend did the tattoos, so when I met him, he and I opened the shop together, and I ran the business, but he's the one that did the tattooing. And I always wanted to try tattooing, and I would practice, but the gun that you use is so heavy and it vibrates, and it's a really tough medium. I just never wanted to tackle it. It was just a little too overwhelming.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, it's really intense because you can't mess up, you know?
I'm going to rewind the conversation a little bit. We started out with what you're curious about right now, and that's your henna art.
Yeah.
But the audience really isn't familiar with you or what you do. So could you tell me about yourself, your background, what brings you up to this point, and
Sure.
stuff?
Sure. And stuff. I'm Renee Bibo, but I also go by Luna. I always sign my paintings Luna. I feel like Luna is the one who does the art. Um, I I was into art in high school, very much so, and I wanted to go to MIAD right after high school, but I couldn't afford it. I ended up going to beauty school, and I would always do craft projects and things like that, but I didn't paint for 20 years, is the bottom line. And when I met my husband, Todd, he really inspired me to paint again. So I started painting again in 2010 or something like that. And so I started in acrylics, and now I'm having kind of a love affair with oil paint. And it's hard to go back to acrylic, but I think acrylic is good for certain things, and I will use it again, but I'm just really into the oil paint, and I'm a henna artist, and so I do a lot of that. And I also use different things like the wood burner and gold leaf, and I do some glass etching. So I'm really like a mixed media artist, and I just sort of follow whatever urge there is, going on at the time. hmm Things go best when I do that. If I try to force a series or try to force myself to paint something specific, it doesn't really work out that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much we can talk about here.
I know, right? Where do you go? I know.
Yeah, so high
Start?
school, what kind of things did you do back in high school?
I remember drawing still life a lot, and I did work on the wheel and used clay, but I also did painting. And painting was always my favorite thing to do. Drawing was more of a challenge, and I feel like now I enjoy drawing more than I did before. I've kind of, I'm not as hard on myself, maybe. I think I was more of a perfectionist back then. And now I do a lot of blind contour drawings, and those are my favorite to do because you just look at your subject and you make lines. And they always kind of come out really cool. That's why I like them doing that the best. Mark Mulhern was at our studio the other day, and he showed me a new drawing technique. He showed me how to do like a still life, and you start with the thing that's closest to you, and then you just keep connecting to the next thing and the next thing, and it helps you go back in space. It was a really great exercise for drawing. So I think I'm going to be doing some more of that too. Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you overcoming perfectionism was hard for you. Any advice to people, or how have you managed to do that in day-to-day ways? Because that's an issue for a lot of people.
Yes, it is. I started with my silverware drawer, and I started putting the silverware just in there and not organizing it. Because it was a thing that you could do, and you can close the drawer and you're not looking at it. But every time I'd go in, there's just knives, spoons, forks all together. And who really cares about that, right? But it was one thing that I could do that wasn't like I have to compartmentalize everything. So it started with that a little bit. And then I used to clean so much that I would never leave time to create. This is long ago, back when we were talking about. And now I do the opposite. I just have to, I guess it's just choosing or deciding that I'm not going to do that anymore. I think it's mostly changing my mind about it more than actually, it was the silverware drawer at first, and it was kind of a joke, but my friend Jessica still uses that format.
What made you decide to change your mindset?
I felt like perfectionism was just holding me back from things I wanted to do. And so I just really wanted to create and have fun. Organizing can be fun too. I like that, but I think it can take over. And I actually get that from my mother. She's a very organized, clean person. And I think we take on qualities of our parents when we're young, and you can take them to the end of your life too. So I think I was just really looking at myself and deciding what are these things I want to keep. I mean, I really like being able to organize and clean. And, I help people do that actually too. I'm helping one of my friends right now organize everything that she's got. And so it's almost easier to do it for other people, because you can see what they need to keep or not, when you're overwhelmed by stuff. But then I just decided I don't want to be, that overtaken by such a thing. And plus, what is perfect, right?
Yeah. Do you think it was perfectionism that led you to not paint for those 20 years?
Yes. That was what was holding me back for sure. And I think I was afraid of making a mistake or, I was really hard on myself that way. And I was so sad I couldn't paint. I just couldn't just do something. I was also very afraid of the blank canvas. And when Todd and I got together and we started watching all these documentaries of other artists and watching their studios, and like Richard Diebenkorn, he says he has to just like violate the canvas or do something to it before he even starts. So there's not that blank canvas. So it's kind of like I started doing kind of painting exercises like that, where I'm painting a painting and then the leftover palette with all the paint still on it, I didn't want to waste it. So I would paint it on another canvas. And so that's the start of my next one. And actually that would start something magically. You'd see something in it and then it would turn into something. So kind of got over that one by just deciding I was just going to slap some paint on the canvas to start. And it's not doing anything. It's just a beginning.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to work at the timeline in my head. You started graduate from high school, and then I forget what you said about college.
Oh yeah, then I went to beauty school. I wanted to go to MyEd, couldn't afford it, went to beauty school because I always liked doing hair too. And I feel like that was an art in itself as well, mixing color and cutting. It's sort of like, sculpture in a way. Especially certain hair, certain big curly hair. It's just like, trimming the hedges in a way.
Any major takeaways from your time at beauty school?
Oh yeah, I loved it. I mean, and I did hair for 25 years, so it was my bread and butter for a long time. And it was enough creativity for me, I think. It was just helping people look pretty, and helping people feel better has always been a thing I like to do. So that went with that. But then after a while, it was more about the relationships than the actual art, the doing of the hair, and then it was too much. And then and that's when I really started getting into painting again. And that was just drawing me more and more. So we decided to just go for it and be full-time artists, after we wanted to our whole lives.
That must have been a scary leap.
It was. It really was. It was. But it was helpful to do it with Todd, together. We kind of held hands and jumped off the cliff together. Gives you a little bit more courage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I interviewed Todd 2 episodes ago, so if anyone wants to go back and listen to that, wanted to put that out there.
That's good. Yeah, right. Connect the two. Yeah, we're really connected and through our art mostly. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and the henna was somewhere in the middle of there. You've been doing it the whole time?
Yes. Yeah. Went to beauty school, did hair, owned a hair salon. Then I got into doing nails, acrylic nails. When in the 90s, when they were very long and all the nail art. So then I got into that. And I actually did a contest once and I painted a different little can of soda for each nail. So it was like Orange Crush and Grape and 7-Up and Pepsi. And I did the exact logo like on the nail because it looked like a little can, the shape because it was square at the time. Square nails. So that felt like art too. I was like using liquid and powder and building up these acrylic nails. So that was sort of artistic at that point. And then I met Adam and we opened the tattoo shop and got into that, and we had a gallery there, which was really fun. So we showed a different artist every month, and that was a lot of work. So that was the part I was kind of doing while he was tattooing, and And I was making jewelry at the time. So then I got into beadwork and jewelry, and I used to do shows and sell jewelry. And that was very satisfying for a long time too, because that was creative. Um, and then, yeah. And then after that, well, then I had to open a bar. I was always a bartender too. I did lots of different things,
yeah.
Carly. It's a whole story, but yeah, so I opened the bar, and that was great. It was called the Zodiac Luxury Lounge, and we had a different drink for each sign of the zodiac, because I've always been into astrology, and I read tarot cards as well, so that sort of tied in there. But I have to tell you that was the most work I ever did in my whole life, and I knew I just couldn't do that anymore, so I had to just come away from that. And I just kept doing hair. And then I was painting houses, interiors. And that's when I met Todd, and he also painted interiors. So we started painting together. Like, he asked me to come and work with him to help him on these bigger jobs. And we did that for many years together and then to transition into the artwork, we would book 1 week of painting jobs, and the next week, painting job studio. So we still had some solid money coming in, but we could take time in the studio, like a whole week, and just dedicate it to that. And that really helped us transition into doing full-time art.
Yeah, so many weird places I can take this. I got a few notes.
I know, right?
This is a wonderful conversation, I feel like.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the last one I had was, so jewelry. I have a history of making jewelry myself.
Yes, you do. I see you have a piece on right now.
Yes, I do.
Uh-huh.
People won't be able to see this, but
they can hear it, right? Yeah.
Hear it, and they can find it on my website, carlyknight.com/shop.
Beautiful copper. Yes.
Yeah. And but lately jewelry hasn't been as interesting to me lately, and I feel like a lot of my identity has been wrapped up with the jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
How have you managed to transition through all these different things without losing who you are, taking on different mediums and jobs?
I guess, yeah, I was just following my heart, mostly. You know, jewelry, I remember when I was doing jewelry and doing shows, and then all of a sudden, everyone's doing jewelry. It was just like, it was saturated. Every show had too many jewelry artists. And I can't remember what exactly pulled me out of that, but and I never let it go totally. I still have all my beadwork. My stepdaughter always wants, let's do jewelry, and she makes me pull that stuff out. But then I kind of go, ooh, I don't want to do it, you know? So I feel like all those things I have in my back pocket still, I never really let go of any of them. I mean, I still cut Todd's hair, you know, and paint nails. But so I guess it's just like, but when you're done with doing it, you can feel it. You either get sick or you just start feeling like crap. And then, you know, you have to change. And then I just follow what I really want to do. So it's, again, just sort of following my heart, I guess.
Do you have any daily practices you use to get in touch with your heart?
Yes. Well, I do a lot of stretching and yoga poses. I don't do a whole routine, but I get in touch with my body that way. And I also, a lot of times, not every day, for a while I was doing it every day, but it's called the 7-minute chakra tune-up, and it's on YouTube, and it's 7 minutes long. And I thought, well, I can meditate for 7 minutes. And so it shows a different mandala for each chakra, starting with the root. And there's a sound that you're supposed to make and chant while they do it. And it's just 7 minutes, but it's just nice to like just start your day with that. I recommend it to a lot of people because it's, you know, they say, I can't fit it in. You know, it's like, well, you can meditate for 7 minutes. Everyone could do that, you know, and you could do it a couple times a day. If you need a break in the middle of your day, you can stop and do a 7-minute tune up, you know, or something like that. So I do that. And, well, I don't know. I like to go out in my garden too and look around at everything. I have some cherry tomatoes I need to pick right now. So kind of getting in touch with nature a little bit, at least, you know, if it's even yucky weather, you still gotta stand outside and just take it in, you know? So, yeah. So I like to do those things.
I just was at WDS, like I said, and I feel so much better. Hard to say. I feel
Yeah.
like I had an epiphany there that I don't think I want to go into on the show.
Yes.
But my energy is so much better, my thinking so much better, everything is so much better. I need to maintain this, and that's
Right.
maintaining it and not losing the mindset is scary.
Right, exactly. I think it starts when you wake up in the morning. You know, your mind can start flooding in with all these thoughts right away. But if you're conscious and you wake up, you can kind of get out in front of it. If you decide, you know, even I think you have to start when you go to bed and say, in the morning, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to give myself just like 2 minutes to look around the room and observe things and not think of anything. And if thoughts come, well, you just kind of let it go through and then come back to the present moment, some kind of thing, you know, like the color of the walls, or we have tons of art in our room. So I'll just sit and stare at a piece of art or look out the window and, you know, observe the weather. And just taking those few minutes, I think, right when you wake up, it starts you off in a good way. I kind of have to. Otherwise, you know, you can just get taken over by thought.
Yeah, that brings me to a good time to switch the conversation over.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's a good time to introduce these other questions that I have.
Sure.
That I like to ask all my guests. There,
okay.
No need to be short or anything. This isn't a lightning round. But this is what I like to get into on the show is art, what it is exactly. And what is your personal definition of art?
Art. What is art? Well, art is so many things, isn't it? So many definitions of it. I feel like art can move people. So, I mean, art can change everything, you know? But what is it? Ooh, what's your definition of art? That's a great question, Carly.
There's no one right answer. I just want to hear multiple people's interpretation to get closer at the truth.
Yes. Well, I feel like being an artist is, you know, about following your heart and expressing what you need to express. So art is expression, I guess, to me. And I've always been an artist, but for a long time, judgments and people and other things kept me from it. I always knew inside I was an artist. So now I'm letting it out more. So it's like, and art is, I mean, usually it's beauty. Sometimes it's also when you have to get something out. You know, sometimes you see a painting, it's like, you know, it's like, or it's disturbing or it's hard to look at. But for someone else, it's their expression. They had to let it out. So, yeah, I guess I'll say expression is art.
That's great. Now, the next question I'd like to ask is, what is an artist then?
What is an artist? Yeah, an artist. I feel like artists are sort of different than other people. I mean, I feel like everyone has a creative side, you know, or can do some creative things. But I guess being an artist is actually trusting yourself to let yourself express what you need to express.
Ooh, that was good.
Okay, good.
I felt like it was good at least. I hope.
Okay, good. Yes.
Not that it matters.
Yes, not that it matters. Right. We're not judging. That's part of art, right? The judgment comes in heavy. Yeah, I think you can't judge art. That's another thing. Again, it's someone's expression. They needed to say it or do it or show it, let it out. And art is personal too. You know, being an artist makes you have so much trust. You have to trust all the time in yourself and what is coming through and what you want to do and to follow it. And to be an artist for a living is just, it's radical trust, I like to say. It takes radical trust. And I trust it, you know, I trust the universe, source, whatever is there, just trying to be in the present moment and listen to what I need to do and then follow it through. Yeah.
What role do you think art plays in society and the artist?
Yeah, I think it's an important role, It's you can see through time and paintings and, famous painters like Picasso making Guernica, that big wild painting. It shows so much emotion, and I mean, everything is art, really. This computer we're looking through is art. Someone designed it. Every box of cereal has been designed by an artist. Even in your car, the little label that's on the flap of, someone had to design it and make the little picture of the person, with the. So I feel like life is art. Art is life. You can't. It is everything, really. I don't know.
I guess what I've been trying to get at with this question is, in today's society, what is the role of art? With the internet and everything, and it seems like it's a little more fractured than before.
Yes.
So what role does art play in the artist?
Yeah. Now more than ever, people can be an artist. I feel like you look online and like everyone's doing art, and I think that's it's great, that everyone has a chance to do it, especially if they thought they couldn't. And we have access to everybody too, with the internet. I feel like it's great. I go on Instagram and I can see other artists from all around the world. And I love that. So I think it's, so maybe art and artists are bringing people even more together through the internet. And I mean, look at the woman who made the sculpture of Donald Trump. She's getting the point across. I know. I really don't. It's so weird. But I don't know why, but she had to make it, right? And all of them. There's many. There's not just one. But look at how everyone got to see that, I mean, that's art, okay? I mean, it's bizarre, but she was expressing herself about how she feels about this, presidential election. So, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's always the artist's job the artist is always telling what's happening in life, right? And so you look back through paintings and history of art, and you can see all the things happening. And artists sort of, I don't know, collect everything and then compile. Yeah. That's a good question too, Carly. Great questions you have here.
There are questions that I've had in my head for a while.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, why don't I just ask people? And if I want to ask people, why don't I record it so I can share it?
Right, exactly. Put it out there, right?
Yeah, because these are things.
You're an artist.
Yeah, I guess. No,
I
am an artist.
See, there it is, right there, right? Oh my gosh, Carly, you are an artist. I love your paintings. I mean, you're making these paintings of these like things that they're not tangled because they're not actually knots. I mean, it's like things coming together, and then your crocheted things too. The big. Oh, I think they're fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah, just keep going. You just got to keep going. Yeah, trust it. Follow it.
Yeah, it's super scary, but I think it's worth it.
Yes, but you're making like this net, like your paintings are like nets.
Yeah, actually, I've got a piece that piece is going to be in the Concordia show.
Cool. Awesome.
We got a fiber art show, so my fiber art, I don't remember the dates. I'll put that in the show notes, what the dates are for my show. Cool. I need to start sharing that on social media. It's coming up really soon.
Is it? Yeah. That'll be great. Way to go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're an artist.
Funny, things are starting to come together, but I've been working at it for years.
Yes.
Like making connections, making the art.
Yep. And there's your art, making connections. Here you are doing it with us, while you're interviewing people. You're making that painting or you're making that fiber art, it's the same.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a hard time accepting compliments.
Yeah, you're doing good. You said thank you. That's good. Yeah, you're welcome.
So what is the why behind what you do?
Because I have to. Can't fight it. Can't fight this feeling.
I feel like a lot of people are giving that answer.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also because I want to honor who I've been all my life. And like, finally, I didn't even know it back then though, you know? No one really encouraged me like, hey, yeah, be an artist for a living. No one said that. They said, oh, honey, yeah, do hair because there's always hair to cut, you know? But that wasn't art. Like I said, everything I did had some bit of art. Even the bar, I was creating these cocktails for different zodiac signs and just recreating this hideous place into like this really cool place. I feel like that's creation too. That's creating. But yeah, why do I do it? Because I want to. Because I want to. Yeah.
Wonderful.
That's how I want to spend my moments on earth, you know? I'm like, how do you want to spend your days? I want to spend it in the studio or at art shows or selling clients' paintings, bringing art into other people's houses. I love that. It's so awesome. It totally changes a room. You know, a painting can just change a room because it's got energy. I mean, it's got the visual, but it has more than that. It has a feeling, you know? And I feel like a really good painting is one where you're present while you're doing it. So then you feel that when you're looking at it, you know, you get to the feeling of that presence or it sucks you in. So you're looking at it. You're not thinking of anything else when you're seeing it, you know?
Wonderful. Now you're talking about your studio. How do you stay artistically productive with everything you have going on?
One thing at a time, I guess. Our studio is getting really full and I mean, it shifts all the time, you know. Right now I'm working on a henna mural. It's on a piece of canvas that's going to be Velcroed to a wall that people are actually going to paint on. It's going in UW-Madison. My sister-in-law is a professor there, and she has patients come in who are like disabled or in wheelchairs. And so part of their rehabilitation is them like actually coloring in this mural. So I'm just doing a black and white, kind of like a big coloring book. And it'll be on her wall and then they'll slowly fill it in. So so right now I painted the two color, the base coat white. I stapled it to the wall. And now last night I took it off and I laid it on the floor. And because I'm using paint markers, I can't do it on the wall. I have to do it on the floor. So now I had to clear a space and I'm working on the floor. And Todd's working on tables. He's making prints of his work. So he's cutting wood over there, and then he's gluing and doing the end, you know, drilling a hole in the back of the wood over there. So yeah, our studio just keeps just shifting around all the time. You know, I have a station where I'm doing henna and wood pieces, and then I'm polyurethaning them so they need to dry and sit. You know, so they're as far away from the wood as possible. Or, you know, if he's cutting wood, I'm not going to polyurethane that day. So it depends on every day is different and just do what we got to do in the moment for what the next project is.
How do you determine what the next project is?
Well, commissions always come first. You know, you want to get those done for people when they have something. And we've been doing shows, so anything getting ready for the show we'll do. So right now it's been really busy with things like that, things that we kind of have to do. And there hasn't been a lot of downtime where you can just, what am I doing today? I don't know. And sit down and just start something random. That's more in the winter, I feel. More time happens like that. Summer is so busy that it's just sort of get done what we need to get done right now, you know?
Yeah. Are there any blogs or other online resources that you like?
Like I said, Instagram is huge for me right now. That's where I'm getting a lot of inspiration. I'm seeing all these henna artists from around the world who are so fabulous at it, and they have little videos or they just have their pictures of their work, but also painters that way too. Blog, ever have time to do blogs or, you know what I mean? Like research like that. I feel like I don't do that very much. Everything's on my phone. So I really look on my phone and, I find out what's happening in the city or what's happening with my friends on Facebook. And then I do Instagram and, but otherwise I get some painting magazines that come to the house. So I'll check those out. That's always fun to see because, there's always new artists and who's doing what. It's fun to see that. I like those. I like those magazines.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Books. I love to read books, personally.
Yeah, nice.
Any good books that inspire you artistically that you like to recommend?
Sure. Well...
Or just any good books in general?
Yes, right. I love reading too, and I don't take enough time to read. I always say, I'm going to read in my 70s, when I'm sitting in a chair. I'm just going to read. I'm going to read all these books I want to read. But what I just read Patti Smith's book, Just Kids. And that was so inspiring for artists. They started, so it was Patti Smith, who started as like more of an artist and then ended up a musician. I think in the beginning she was kind of doing some art, but then Robert Mapplethorpe, which was her partner at the time, he took all those very controversial black and white photos back in the day. So those two met in New York and they were young kids and they literally were starving artists and they started from nothing and they lived in these warehouses where they didn't even have a bathroom and they were literally starving. They didn't have enough money and they just kept going and they both became famous. I mean, it's such an inspiring story. I mean, it's a sad book because Robert isn't with us anymore, but it's really, I just totally inspired me. And I'm reading right now. The writing is kind of dry, but I'm reading about Lee Krasner and her life with Pollock. And it is. What is the name of it? I'll have to tell you. It's upstairs, so I'll tell you later. I'll write it down, or we'll add it in. I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, but it's. I started reading it when Todd was the Pfister Artist in Residence, and so it's the story is about how Lee really helped his career, and she's an artist too. But he kind of got more famous than her, but she was always kind of backing him and helping him. And so I was relating to her a little bit with Todd and me and being artists and him having that position and me kind of helping with the Pfister in that way. So I didn't get through it though, because like I said, the writing's very dry. It's more informational. It tells dates and times and when things happen. And it's a woman talking about Lee. So it's not actually Lee writing it. So it's this woman's interpretation and supposedly she knew her and she had plenty of interviews to do it. But yeah, writing's kind of dry. But I did get into just connecting with her. And then that's when that show was at the Milwaukee Art Museum and she had a painting. They both had paintings in that one, that last big show. And I can't remember the name of that right now.
Sure, that was a good show.
That was the most amazing painting show ever.
Yeah.
We were so lucky to get it. So I really connected with Lee Krasner's painting. It was like one of my favorite in the show overall.
Which one was
it? And
it?
Usually it was right across from Pollock's and it was, I think it was called Milkweed or something. And it was tall and it had some canvas cut out and just like placed on it. And there was some green and black. And I mean, it felt like nature. It felt natural. It was right across from his. So they were kind of like talking to each other, I guess. But, and I don't love her art. Like I don't love all of her art, but that one I loved. And it was so interesting that I loved it while I was reading that book. I felt really close to her, so that was cool. And, I don't know if, and any books at all, you mean, or just art books? I'm always looking at art books,
Any books at all. I tend to not look at art books as much, personally.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I mean, I do, but things outside of the art world sometimes inspire my art more than looking at just art stuff.
Interesting. That's cool. Like nature or things around you just see out in the world.
Well, I meant that too, but like I'll read a psychology book, a book about like
I see.
or business book, that
I
sort of
see.
thing.
And that's bringing art, and art is coming out of that. That's great.
Me, I found art in those kind of books.
That's cool. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. We did go and see in Chicago the Van Gogh show, and that was awesome. The bedrooms.
I wanted to go to that one. Is it still going on?
That was so inspiring. And my favorite thing was seeing his palette, because it was a wooden palette. It had paint on it. I mean, I think it was his actual paint palette. And you could see where his thumb had sat inside that, hole. It was just so awesome. He sold 0 paintings, Carly.
I know.
0 art the whole time he's alive. Look how lucky we are. We're selling our art.
Well, some of us are.
You sold art? You sold the necklace?
Yeah, I sold necklaces. I've sold necklaces, just not paintings. But I haven't really been trying to sell the paintings, so.
Right. You're just building them up now.
Yeah, I'm developing my technique and stuff. Because I've only been painting for a year, so.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, you just started.
Well, a little bit over a year, but yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, geez, look how many you've already made. I've seen so many on Facebook. That's great. You're building the series. But I mean, when I think about that, that he didn't sell 1 painting while he was alive, and so brilliant paintings.
Yeah.
Wow. So I feel lucky, to sell art while I'm alive.
Yeah.
It's a privilege.
It is.
It really is. Yeah.
So you brought this up earlier, and if you don't want to go into it, it's fine. How do I put this? When Todd was in, like you said, with Pollock and Lee, how you feel like you've got that same relationship going on with Todd or something?
Well, when he was at the Pfister and sort of he was, people were finding out who he was, and, he was in the public eye. And then I was also doing a lot, behind the scenes, supporting him. And also, I feel like we both did it together in a way. And I really thought I was going to have all this free time alone in the studio while he was in there, but it didn't happen. I was doing other things, and I was I'm not trying to say, oh, I really helped his career or something like that. I feel like we do it together. But just like Lee, if it had to be, her art would be put on hold so that his can get, sent out in the world or recognized or whatever. So I was just connecting in that way with that, just being an artist couple. And I mean, I feel like it's not the same because Lee was a woman back then. And back then, women didn't have these kind of really privileges, or it was harder for them to be an artist, very much harder, because it was just men that were remembered or acknowledged, mostly. Like Mary Cassatt, she got in there somehow. They were looking at her stuff. But, but even Lee, she had to be put on hold while Pollock had all his kind of like fame, and when he was she really helped, get the gallery owners to come over and dealt with them while they were there, because he was very, Todd is very personable, so he's easy, but Pollock was really tough to deal with, I guess, as a person. So she was kind of, half of him in that way, helping his career. So I just related to that.
Yeah, it's interesting how you guys are a couple and you're both artists, and you're both able to pursue your career as an artist because
because why? Because how can you? Yeah. I know we are. I feel lucky that I get to, and I mean, we support each other to do it, and that's why we can. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I think a support system is very important for everyone, not just artists, but especially.
Especially artists, yeah. I mean, like, back to that Just Kids book, Patty, while Robert, he just wanted to make art, and so he would be home doing art. She got a job at like a bookstore, and she was working a regular job to bring in some regular money. So they had that. So she really helped him launch as well. So I feel like, but he supported her too. They worked together. It's all about working together. We can all do it. We all need to work together to make things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another question I've got that's sort of related to what I just brought up, actually, is the role of the audience in art.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
What is the role of the audience? Yeah, I mean, they see it, they see it. I see people when they see something that they just have to have, like a piece of art that they want to buy. It catches them, it like pulls them in. So yeah, we need their observation. We need them to, and then there's people there saying, oh, this is bad. And there's some people saying, oh, this is really good, even the critique says something, like Philip Guston, he was like this abstract painter, and he started doing those weird cartoon paintings with the Ku Klux Klan. I don't know if you know this artist, but when he did a different thing, he just got creamed in the reviews. I mean, they just went, what is this? This is terrible. But when you see him talk about it, he didn't care. He was like, I had to do it. And he was bringing up some points in life that were very disturbing. The Ku Klux Klan, I mean, why do you want to sit around your studio and paint that? But obviously he had to. He was saying something about it. But then they were comical, and like they were like comic books. Like they were more illustrations, but painted. I don't know. It was odd, but he just followed it. But that's the audience, right? Looking at it, and then also the audience can be our art friends, and then we kind of give each other advice too. So I think that's important.
I want to be respectful of your time.
Thank you.
So we can cut it. I've got a couple more questions to ask, and then I'll let you go.
All right.
So this is. Actually, I've got one more last question I'd like to ask, but before I ask that, is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
I think you've asked excellent questions. I don't know what else I would say.
Nice. So, where can people find you online, and what can they do to support you?
Well, they can buy my art, of course, or come get a henna. My website has everything on it. On the front page of my website, it's showing all the shows that we are doing through the end, through into fall. So that's reneebebeau.com, which is ReneeBebeau.com. And I'm also on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram as Renee Luna Bebeau. And
I just thought of a question.
Oh, good.
Why Luna?
Well, because I love the moon. It's a nickname I got a long time ago. A woman who taught me about astrology and tarot and all of that mystical stuff. She said, you have to pick a special name. And I said Luna right away, because I just always watched the moon and followed its cycles and patterns. And I'm just so fascinated by it still. And I don't know. It just seemed to fit. I just had to go with Luna. And then, I really like my name. I mean, I'm French Canadian, Renee Simone Bebeau. I feel like they gave me a beautiful name, and I love it. But I don't know, even just writing it, it's so cumbersome, actually, to me. And writing Luna, these 4 letters, it's so easy, and I love it. I love that. So one day, maybe I'll just be Luna to everyone. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to let you go then.
Thanks, Carly, for interviewing me. This is really fun.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you would like to support the Curious Artist Show, please share it with a friend or someone you think would enjoy it. Thanks again. Have a nice day.